Today, I'd like to continue our journey through the book of Deuteronomy. We're presently in chapter 23, and we're getting ready to enter into the promised land. In chapter 23, we've seen a lot of different laws and customs that have arisen among the people, and they're very fascinating. In this part of chapter 23, it talks about when you go through the neighbor's vineyard, you can eat some of the grapes, but you cannot put them in your basket. And the idea was here that you're going through the vineyard, you can take, a few grapes, but don't take so many that you have a basket full. Be moderate in what you take. So it's okay to share those types of things. It's not a big issue. But if you take too many, obviously you're going to impact your neighbor. So be careful about how many you take. Take a few just so, you have some sustenance while you're on your journey, but not too many. And when you go through your neighbor's grain field, you may pluck some of the ears with your hand, but you cannot put a sickle to your neighbor's grain. So again, it's okay to take a few ears of grain, that's fine, but don't come in with a big sickle and all of a sudden start to take all that grain. I mean, the idea is moderation, common sense moderation. Then in chapter 24, we get into some issues about divorce and marriage. Chapter 24, it says if a man divorces his wife for immodest conduct and gives her a bill of divorce, and she marries a second husband, but gets divorced from the second husband, she cannot marry the first husband again. So here you have this wife, she's got a bill of divorce. Um, from the husband, and the idea that he divorces his wife for immodest conduct. Well, again, you get into these different situations. What does that mean, immodest conduct? Does it mean that she's having an affair? What's going on? Is it a case, too, which sometimes could happen where it's not really that bad, but the husband wants to get where, you get into all these situations. But anyway, if she marries again, which could very well happen, young woman, she marries again, and she gets divorced now from the second husband, she can't go back to the first. So again, common sense, and in how many cases would that happen? Well, you never know, but obviously, if there's a law that's built around it, if there's this prescription in the book of Deuteronomy, these things happen, and they want to deal with it and make sure it doesn't continue. And of course, if you had this type of situation, what could happen in a community, what could happen in a family, it could be very confusing and of course disrupting. If a man is newly married, he's exempt from military duty for a year so that he might bring joy to his wife. I love that expression. So the man is married, no military duty for a year. And why? Because obviously, you want to enjoy your wife, new wife, you just got married, and in most cases, the idea is really starting a family, bringing joy to the wife. The joy to the wife comes from, of course, the pleasure with the husband, but also having a child to take care of as well is joy. Um, Another interesting prescription in the book of Deuteronomy, here, chapter 24, no one can take a handmill or even its upper stone as a pledge for debt. And the idea would be very simple. Simple. If you're taking this handmill, you can't ground the grain and make the bread, and so your very sustenance could be threatened by that. How could you survive without that? So again, the idea, be rational, be reasonable. Don't take something like that that's so crucial, that's so essential for people as a pledge of debt. Not a good thing to do, a very nasty thing to do. If a man is caught kidnapping a fellow Israelite in order to enslave him, the kidnapper should be put to death. So again, if there's kidnapping going on and the idea is you want to make somebody a slave, so I'll kidnap them, I'll have another slave. No, that kidnapper shall be put to death. So again, a very strong prohibition against enforced slavery. Um, again, be sure to avoid an attack of leprosy and to carry out all the directions of the Levitical priests. So the idea of leprosy spreading the disease, it was thought it could be, spread very easily in a community. So there are very strict laws and prohibitions with regard to leprosy. Very important that you follow those types of prescriptions. When you make a loan, wait until the man you are making the loan brings the pledge out to you. If the man is poor, you shall not sleep in the mantle he gives you as a pledge, but return it to him at sunset so that he might sleep in it. And again, the compassion that's built into the law here is amazing, right? So there is a loan situation. The person has given you a pledge. Usually if there's a loan, there's some form of collateral, some sort of pledge that's given to you so that the loan will be repaid. In this case, it's a mantle that's given, but the person is poor, so they need that to sleep in at night. Make sure the person gets it back at sunset so they'll be able to sleep well and comfortably and not be cold at night. You shall not defraud a poor and a needy hired servant, whether that servant is a countryman or whether that servant is an alien. You shall pay him each day's wages before sundown on the day itself. So make sure that the person gets the wages before sundown. Don't hold the wages back. Very important. And why? Because he is poor and he looks forward to, he needs those wages. So the idea of a just wage, we see it here, that be given an appropriate wage and to be given in a timely fashion. And concern really for this person who is poor, who is depending on this wage. Make sure you get that wage to them. Fathers shall not be put to death for their children or children for their fathers, only for your own guilt. So if your son has done something wrong, the father cannot be put to death. If the father has done something wrong, the son cannot be put to death. You are only responsible really for your own actions. And a lot of times we almost in everyday language say that, right? If some child has done something wrong, we say, well, you brought shame upon your father, brought shame upon your family. But you are really only responsible for your own actions. You cannot be held responsible for the actions of a child or for your dad. You should not violate the rights of the alien or the orphan, nor take the clothing of the widow as a pledge, because you were once aliens in Egypt. So it's very important that the alien has rights, the orphan has rights, the widow, they have rights, and they can be seen as very vulnerable, and you can take advantage of them. And again, the scriptures here are very clear in Deuteronomy chapter 24. Do not take advantage of these people who are vulnerable, these people that can be exploited. They have no one maybe to advocate for them. A person is an alien, a widow, a young child. Be careful. Do not take advantage of them. And then finally, at the end of chapter 24, when you reap a harvest and leave a sheaf in the field, do not go back and get it, but leave it for the alien, the widow, or the orphan. Do not go over the olive trees a second time, but leave it for the alien, the widow, and the orphan, and the same with your vineyard. So when you're doing the harvest, very important, of course, you do it once and you get the majority from your field, but the rest leave for others so that they will be fed too. We see a lot of compassion built here into the book of Deuteronomy, compassion for those that are in need.